Hello and welcome to the Switchrpg podcast. I am one of your hosts, Gio, and I'm joined by Just Johnny. Just Johnny, how you doing, buddy?
I am good. We are digitally joined by the hip.
Digitally joined. Unfortunately, last week I had some video issues, so we couldn't get a video version of this. But here we are. I'm hoping this all works. The audio version is never a problem. It's just the video that always adds in an extra flavor of issues, so we'll see how it goes. If this is your first time listening, this is the show from Switchrpg.com, where we bring you the latest in the world of RPGs on the Nintendo Switch. This week, we are talking about, we had some sort of a Nintendo Direct Mini. You may have missed it, or they didn't tell us. They just kind of just dropped it out there. So we'll be talking about that, some upcoming releases, as well as some game mechanics that we may want to see in other games, or maybe some of our own. So we got quite a big episode here, as well as some RPG news. But first, don't forget to visit our Discord, discord.switchrpg.com, as well as our Twitters is @switchrpg. Merch, you can find it on our homepage at switchrpg.com. So yes, please give us a visit there, as well as ratings and reviews on this very own podcast. What are you playing, Johnny?
What I've been playing, you're doing such a good job in that opener. That was fantastic. Bravo. Good work.
It's all scripted. It's all scripted.
Yeah. I've been still playing Radiant Historia.
Good.
Game is
good, I guess.
Yeah, the game is great. It's long, as JRPGs are.
Mm-hmm.
There is something that I'm actually going to use Radiant Historia as a negative example for when we talk about gameplay mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So I will bring that up. Not that that's detracting so much from the game itself. The game is great. But I'm going through that. Uploaded a few more of my homebrewy Mario Maker levels. I think I'm up to 4 on there. Once again, these are like ports, so
yeah. Okay.
Those are on there. Feel free if anyone wants to check them out. Go ahead. I gave the code last week or two podcasts ago or something like that.
Last week,
should I give another one, or?
I mean, it's up to you. If you want to give the first one, and then they can search you that way, right? Is that the way it works on Mario Maker?
Yeah. So if anyone punches in L6Q FCN-BPG, they can pull up another level over there. You can see you'll be able to pull up my whole Maker profile stuff and go to the first world or first level in the first world and play and die a whole lot because it's a little challenging.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I've been playing a game that just came out. I think it came out today or yesterday.
Today or yesterday. It might have been that today, actually.
Arafel.
Mm-hmm.
I got up to somewhere in chapter 1. So I did the prologue, got up to chapter 1, got a whole lot of scolding. It is kind of like a RPG Maker kind of game, except done really well.
Oh yeah.
It was pleasantly surprising, and a big kudos to how we talked about this game probably like 2 months ago or something like that, where I was looking at screenshots or video and I saw like the menu system for combat, and it was like the basic stuff, right? Attack, skills, defend, retreat, like very basic stuff. However, after playing it, they did the good thing by having your mana regenerate at the end of combat and your health. So it becomes you're topped off every time you enter combat. So they fine-tuned the combat system and that with that in mind. So it's no longer like a long-term resource management thing that is meaningless because you have items to max out yourself. That sort of style of gameplay is null and void, which is the style that I don't really care for. The sort of long-term dungeon delving, refill yourself up type of system. It's antiquated, it's old, I don't like it. This one, it has the mana, but you get topped off every single round, and you get at the end of every round of combat, you get mana back. Okay. So you have a regenerative effect that kicks into play, so it adds a little bit more nuance and complexity and non-typicalness to the combat. I haven't played long enough to see how interesting and elaborate it gets, but that's more than enough to intrigue me.
Okay.
I will say the music is very repetitive, and by repetitive, like they had plenty of moments to change up the soundtrack, and they didn't. And that's fine. Indie game, totally understand. The artwork's good, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a good-looking 16-bit style sprite work looking game. Although some of the backgrounds that they used is more like painted, hand drawn type stuff. So it's like walking the line of like it's not 32-bit, but it looks as if it's like pre-rendered esque type things, but it's painted.
Yeah.
Or at least it looks like it's painted like Photoshoppy style. It works with the environment, but it's like you look at the character sprites, which are sprite graphics, right? Like 16-bit, it has its own aesthetic style to it. And then you look at the background stuff, like you look at the clouds, because you're living on like this floating island world or whatever, and you look at the background and the clouds, and it's like a resolution higher, right? It's not pixelated looking. Looks good though. The entirety of the game graphically looks good. Sound, not so much. Animations are a little slow, but not like annoyingly slow. But it's also like it lacks pizzazz.
Gotcha.
On the animation system. Once again, it's indie. I don't know if they built this off of RPG Maker, but some of the animations kind of looks like.
Well, I think initially,
RPG Maker.
it was an RPG Maker. But then it was ported over into something else because I know with that developer Stegosoft, he is also working on another game called Rise of the Third Power, I think, and he's also kind of in the process of getting everything over from an older RPG Maker onto maybe even the newer RPG Maker or something else entirely. So he's kind of I think he's kind of in between engines, but I don't think it's definitely not something custom, that's for sure.
Okay, so this is RPG Maker,
in its origins.
But it's impressive for being what I thought it was, which was an RPG Maker game. It's certainly impressive. The writing also, it's definitely catered towards like tropey-ness, kind of like teenager target demographic kind of thing. So it's not like overly mature or anything like that. Very lighthearted, but that's fine. It doesn't detract me.
Right.
I'm probably going to play more of it because what I have played is good enough to keep me interested. It has a crafting system in there too.
I am surprised.
Well, the crafting system seems like it's a bigger deal because from what I've played, there's no way to actually buy items.
Really?
Yeah, there's no... did I even get gold? I don't know if I actually got a currency, but I didn't see a menu to change your equipment. There's a menu within your crafting menu. You review each of your equipped gear, and it shows you the materials needed to upgrade it to the next whatever it may be. And you can acquire recipes, and you can also enchant stuff.
I mean, could it be possible that maybe you get that as you progress, maybe later in the game? Not later, but in a little bit.
Could be, but for right now, it's not. It doesn't seem like there's going to be like a shop purchase gear, change out your gear type of system to it. It's going to be more about farming materials. So you're killing. You're going to be grinding monsters and whatnot in order to get the drops to upgrade your gear through the crafting system. That's what it looks like, or what it appears to be.
Gotcha.
Which is not a bad thing at all. That has me intrigued because it's different. It's not about farming gold to buy the better thing or to open a chest to get the better thing. Also, the movement in that game is janky. Super janky.
Well, I mean, that's the RPG Maker thing, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of is it your cardinal directions, or does it give you 8 directions?
It's a node. It's a grid node system.
Okay.
Kind of like the original Zelda, or traditional 16-bit RPGs where you just tap like the up direction or down direction, and you move one whole square up or one whole square down or left or whatever. So you're moving one node. So you're like locked into a guaranteed number of pixels that you're going to move on screen, kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like. I don't know this for certain. I haven't peeked under the hood in RPG Maker in like 20 years or something like that.
Been a while. Been a little bit.
Been a while. I think I played RPG Maker 1.
Wow, you're old.
Oh, that was on. I think it released on the original PlayStation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's old.
Yeah,
I am old.
We are old. We are old.
At least I think you're older than me, but that might not be the case.
I'm an 81 model.
You're an 81 model?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You are older than me.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I've been playing a little bit of Animal Crossing.
A little
I
bit?
made my island. A little bit. Made an island, got my little phone app stuff. My girlfriend's been playing much more of Animal Crossing than I. I just haven't had the time to fully delve into it. I'm also waiting for her to sort of take control of the island, so that way when I go in, I can mess everything up.
I don't know. I also got it as well, and I just don't understand the appeal of it. I really don't. It just seems like a lot of work. That Tom Nook, he's a real jerk. He's a jerk. And another thing, and you're on a deserted island. You don't have to be on a deserted island. There's a dude with a plane, a boat, or whatever. You could just go. Why are you staying on this island?
Because it's what you wanted. You wouldn't have planned this vacation if it wasn't what you wanted. You would have gone somewhere else.
I would have gone somewhere else. It wouldn't have been Animal Crossing.
Deep down inside, this is what you knew where you were getting into. This is the ticket that you bought.
Oh man. Okay. So is that the storyline? Is that the basic plot line?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
You go up to the the Nooklings, whatever they are, what was it, Timmy and Tommy?
Yeah.
And they sort of explain things to you, like, oh hey, yeah, we have this desolate island getaway package thing where you're gonna be in one with nature and all that stuff. They tell you.
Yeah, it sounds terrible. But as you were saying, so your girlfriend's been playing quite a bit of it, and you just want to go in there and ransack her island when she's done building it up.
Yeah, in a mostly harmless way. I'm gonna pluck all the weeds, and then I'm just going to throw that back on the ground right outside of her tent. So I'll just put like a big giant like weeds everywhere, all the way around her home tent area.
That is terrible. You are an awful human being.
Could be worse. I could plant like rocks over there.
Oh yeah. Can you plant rocks? I heard those are kind of scarce sometimes.
You can plant tree stumps, and I don't know if you can actually plop down rocks. You might. You probably can. Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds like a lot of work already.
You know what I could do? I might build a maze. If I ever get enough materials, I'll just build a walk-through maze, from her entrance to her tent. That's the start of the maze, and the only way to get out to the rest of the town, the island, is to get through this elaborate hedge maze thing. I think I'll do that.
I want to see that. I would love to actually see that. Yeah. What else are you playing?
The last game is Divinity: Original Sin, something that we don't talk about.
Never heard of it. Never heard of that game before. How was that game?
Doing four player with my friends.
Nice.
Just getting together and rolling some weird characters and stuff like that. I went lizard. Lizards are awesome.
Yep.
I love lizards.
I like their fire breath.
They just look so cool. Yeah, they get the fire breath and cool looking.
Yeah, I agree. That was my very first playthrough was a lizard character.
Yeah. What was your class?
With him, I went like some sort of warrior, kind of like a sword and shield type of character. I went really basic my first playthrough. I didn't know any better.
The casting, the magics is pretty good in that
Yeah.
game. Just by laying down that little floor stuff,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
elemental juice.
I love it.
So that's what I've been playing. What have you been playing?
Holy cow, I can't believe you asked me. Thank you so much for asking me. As always, Divinity Original Sin 2. I am almost done. I am so close to being done. I have about, like, I think 10 or 12 episodes I'm recording. Not recording, I have to edit to put up onto YouTube. So I'm a little behind in that aspect, but I'm almost done there. Still playing Darksiders Genesis. I started playing Operencia. Operencia is
Yeah.
it's a really, really cool game. I know it's been out for, I think, other consoles as well as PC. But Operencia is a really, it's kind of a throwback to, is it Wizards? It's a first-person dungeon crawler. And
Yeah, what I saw in your videos, it's not actually like locked in grid-based movement.
it actually is. The way I play it, though, because I'm so good, I almost make it look as if it's not, but it definitely is. So you're able to turn the camera and everything, even when you're on a grid, I guess you can call it. You're able to turn the camera 360 degrees. It's just kind of the way I've been playing it. I've been playing it almost like a first person type of game. I'm manipulating the camera so it almost looks really kind of fluid. But if you look at the map tiles, they're all very grid based. It's got really cool kind of really throwback puzzle system that I loved in a game called it's a point and click game called Shadowgate. It kind of reminds me of that.
School.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of some of those puzzles in there. So I'm definitely liking that. I think I've played maybe about 3-4 hours already. That game came out yesterday. Today is the 27th. Actually, did it come out today? Actually, I think it came out today, the 27th. Yeah, because that's when I was supposed to put it up. So yeah, it came out today. I recommend it. If you're especially if you're into the kind of the first person dungeon crawlers, it's a really good game. I like the story so far. It's not bad. So I've also been playing another game that just recently came out called Grand Guilds. I think we've talked about it on here in the past. It's a tactical RPG, grid based, and it relies on cards. It's a card battle mechanic.
Yep, we talked about that before.
Yeah, I just got to the point in the game where I'm going to be getting new cards and equipment and all that stuff, so I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. I was still working off of the first set of cards, so I really can't speak to the variety of attacks and whatnot. But what I can tell you is that it needs some more work in the oven. There was a point in time where the cutscene was so janky, it looked like it was coming out of a PlayStation 2 machine. It really slowed down so bad, and then even the text crawl for the conversation,
like frame rate.
yeah, it just went, it just almost stopped. And then the text crawl was like even slower. I mean, I had to wait for it to finish to read for the stream. I actually streamed it. And yeah, that was like a whole section of the of the game. It was really kind of awkward streaming this. I'm like, oh boy. And there were a few other problems where I was trying to attack an enemy, but they were on the edge of my outer attack range, and I couldn't select them. So there were a few issues. I think it needs some more either time in the oven, even though it's released, or it needs a little bit more refinement. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's buggy. Some of their, I'm just looking at some of the dialogue, and I could have sworn I saw a few spelling, grammatic issues.
Yeah, and I think I mentioned it while I was. I don't know if you're looking at my stream or not, but as I'm reading, I'm like, oh, this doesn't sound right. And there was some spelling, grammatical errors, spelling errors. Like I said, it needs some more time. And the combat is good. It's not terrible. I've seen and played a lot worse. So it's not. It's just like I said. It just needs more time. And
yeah.
then. I'm sorry. What were we gonna say?
One thing I just want to mention as like a little jab. it just I'm looking at the character portraits on the characters that are talking, and like almost every single one of them is like ever so slightly like their eyes. If you look at their eyes, it's like ever so slightly cross-eyed. It's so subtle. Like, every single one I've seen so far.
Really?
It could be just me. It's probably just me, but it's like very slightly. The eyes are like they're looking at something that's like really close to them.
Maybe they're reading the text as well. I don't know.
The text is small.
Yeah.
That is some small text.
Well, luckily I played on a larger screen, so I didn't have an issue there. But yeah. And then I've also been, or I've played the demo for Bravely Default 2, which we'll get into a little bit later on.
Oh, you're not going to spill your beans right now on it?
Okay, fine, I will. Fine.
All right. Spill the beans.
All right, just like in true Bravely Default fashion, the game is very grindy. Even in this demo. In this demo, they tell you that the game is going to be difficult, and they say that on purpose because they tell you that they want you to try out all the jobs. They basically want you to run the game through every single job system and sub job system. They want you to try everything, and in that way, what they have done. So I think you start off at level 8 or 9 or something. No, I'm sorry, it's earlier than that. Maybe even 5. I don't know, but it's a very early level, and the enemies you're fighting.
Teens here.
Well,
I'm looking at your video.
Right, but I jump. I had to do it in 2 different takes.
Oh, okay.
There's an earlier gameplay, and then when I get into the dungeon, I'm already level 17 or 18.
Yeah.
So I had to grind for a while just to beat the demo, which was kind of my main objective, was to just beat the demo. I didn't really want to try all the classes. So and you can, at the end of the demo, you do get a new class, and you're able to try that class out as well. So you're able to get the new thief class with their asterisk system that they call it. So once you get the asterisk, it's the thief asterisk, and you're then able to try out all the abilities that the thief has to offer.
Is it the asterisk can only be consumed or applied to one party member, or is it for everyone?
I think it can be for everyone. Yeah. So if you wanted a class or a party of thieves, you could, I guess, essentially do that if you wanted to. But in the original Bravely Default, I do remember having to grind an awful lot. There were a lot of difficulty spikes. And I don't know, again, that's not to say that this game is going to do that. I mean, it's a demo, and I think they're running it the same way they ran the Octopath demo. There's going to be some sort of a survey at the end of it. They're going to gather opinions, gather thoughts, and whatnot. So we could be seeing something a little bit different when the game is released, which I don't think we have a solid date yet. But it looks better graphically than the 3DS. Nothing really standing out there. It looks relatively the same, so to me, in my eyes, other than it's just
visually it looks impressive. It looks like it's running on the same engine, which is Unreal.
It is Unreal.
It looks like it's running on they took the bare bones of Octopath,
yep,
and are leveraging what they did there. Obviously, they're not using sprites, but you can tell when you're looking at like some of the background stuff, kind of like how Octopath looked like a pop-up storybook,
a diorama, yeah.
Diorama, yeah, exactly. Except it's not sprite-based textures, like HD, 2D that they called it. It's all 3D, but it also has like almost like a painterly style to the textures.
Yeah, almost like a water. The backgrounds are all pre-rendered water. They look like watercolor, almost like what Pokemon Mystery Dungeon did, the recent one.
I would say it almost looks like crayon.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could say
it could be watercolor. Yeah.
Yeah, but either way, it's definitely got that some sort of drawn in type of aesthetic or whatever that is. But it's kind of my cup of tea anyways. I love the turn-based combat. Had been a while since I played Bravely Default, so I was trying to get back into kind of like the Brave and Default kind of system. Once I got it, it kind of just clicked with me again, and I ran that entire boss section pretty much. Like the enemies were running away from me at one point because I was just so high, like way too high of a level. But the boss actually took, I want to say he took about 30 minutes. It was a long, long battle.
I'm looking at your video. You encountered the boss at like minute 36, and it's let's see, you beat the boss on, oh my goodness, yeah, it's like an hour.
Yeah,
or half hour.
it was
like
a 30
full
minute.
30 minutes.
It was a 30-minute battle with this boss.
Wow,
It was insane.
that's crazy.
And even some of the enemies in the dungeons, they were difficult as well. So there was a lot of difficulty spikes in the demo as well. It wasn't very balanced because of what they were trying to accomplish. So
what's the So I'm seeing your rewards at the end of the fight. You got experience, JP, job points.
Yep.
Those make sense. What is PG?
PG is their currency.
Okay.
Yeah. It's also a rating in movies, parental guidance. just I don't know. Maybe you don't know.
So does the story require parental guidance?
Actually, it does. It may be too mature for some. For me,
Really?
for sure. No, it's fine.
The artwork for it looks really good, especially the background elements. It looks really, really cool.
Yeah, and in the demo, they kind of pitch you in like the middle of the game, essentially. So they kind of reference other points in the game previous where you haven't played it, So it's kind of just somewhere in the middle.
But I'm just worried that it's gonna play too similar to Octopath, because the combat system is pretty much Octopath combat system. But
it's the same combat system as the previous one. So if anything, I guess Octopath was.
Yeah, but you played the previous one. I never played the previous Bravely games. But in this one, you're doing multiple actions, whereas in Octopath, you're enhancing one action. So that's the big difference from what I see here. That's the only difference that I see.
Yeah, and you can also borrow actions. So you have the brave action where it allows you Brave and Default. Default allows you to hold action, and so you can store it for your next turn. And Brave
generate Brave point.
Yeah, it generates Brave points, but you can also borrow Brave points. So you can actually go -3 Brave points. You'll get 3 turns, but you'll also lose the next 3 turns as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of different mechanics involved, whereas in Octopath they work on the break system. So you're always trying to keep your enemies your enemies kind of in a stun lock almost type of thing. So yeah, I mean maybe there's similarities, but once you've played it, it feels very, very different.
Yeah, similar to a certain degree. Also, the fact that they have a 2-job system that you can apply, which is something that Octopath does. So it's basically you have the default attack with your weapon, and then you have whatever skills, spells, what have you, comes with your associated equipped job.
Right.
That's the same thing that Octopath
and
has.
I don't remember if in the first Bravely Default if you could, because you're allowed to like a sub job type, and in this demo, that sub job type never gained any job points, so I was never getting any abilities with that secondary job type. So again, I don't remember in the first one if your primary job type gives you new abilities. So do you know what I mean? So I'm not sure how, I don't remember how that worked. So a lot of my secondary job, my sub job types never progressed beyond their first ability. So I wasn't really able to see a lot of everything, but it still gave me enough of what they're doing, and it's a lot of the same of what Bravely Default did. So there's really nothing new, I guess you could call it, maybe except for maybe the asterisk system, which is really not a system at all.
Yeah, it doesn't look, nothing about it looks special. It just looks like it gives you access to classes to sub or main.
Right. And the original Bravely Default did it a little bit different. It wasn't an asterisk system. It was a totally different system. So
It's the same thing, just different label.
yeah, basically.
For me, this is perfectly fine because I never played the Bravely game,
Mhm.
so I'm going in on this pretty much blind, and it looks. I probably won't get it until I beat Octopath. So I still need to like fully
Okay.
complete that game. That's a long game.
Yep, that's a long game.
I feel bad if I started up this without beating and completing Octopath.
I won't feel bad at all. Octopath can just sit right there. I will gladly play this. Unfortunately, I don't know. If you, I don't know when it's coming out. Number one, I think we still have some time. But I got Trials of Mana that I want to play coming out. I got Xenoblade again, which we'll discuss. I want to play that. So I don't know where this is gonna sit. Who knows? But yeah, that's what I've been playing. Let's get into the news. So first and foremost, we have Galaxy of Pen and Paper releasing on consoles in April. Now, you and I were discussing a little bit of this. There is a whole kind of pen and paper compilation, kind of like a bunch of other not bunch of other ones, a couple other ones. Is that correct? There's
They
Knights
made
of Pen and
1 and
Paper.
2.
Yeah.
Yeah, Knights of Pen and Paper. They made 1 and 2 on that. That's on Switch.
Yep.
I think they're bundled together too.
Yep. They are.
They have the Galaxy one. I'm not sure if they have others. I'm aware of those two
Okay.
for the franchise.
Well, this one's coming to the Switch on April 8th, and I'm assuming it's going to be kind of the same kind of feel as Knights of Pen and Paper, except for it's we got a kind of a sci-fi kind of story based here.
Yep, it's exactly that. So if you've never played these games before, you're creating characters that are playing a tabletop RPG with a DM. And when your DM starts to talk, you then enter the world of the tabletop game that you are playing. So it's a game and then a game within that game.
A meta game.
Yeah, so you roll characters for the meta game, which also happens to be the characters that you roll for the in-game game. So when you're playing the in-game game, it's more traditional. Knights of Pen and Paper. It's fantasy-based world. You got your warriors and your mages and your rogues and whatnot. And then when you're going outside of the game, you are getting like you're ordering pizza and you're like you can buy like fancier tables to play the game on.
Now, does that affect your in-game like your I don't even know what to call it now. Your tabletop game?
Yeah, it affects the game because you can it's been a while since I played these games. But you can manipulate your dungeon master.
Okay.
So the person that obviously manipulating the dungeon master has a direct influence on the in-game game that you are playing in and of itself. When you're playing those in-game games, it's very much point and click on nodes.
Okay.
To do jobs, whatever those jobs may be. It may be to like go to a tavern to pick up a quest, and then you click on another node where that quest objective is to kill a certain number of enemies X number of times. So you kind of grind that quest to completion, and then you move on to the next one. And as you're doing these jobs, time is progressing. This is on the Knights version. It's been a while since I've played the Galaxy one, and I only played the Galaxy one for almost 2 hours.
Okay.
It was about an hour and a half, right around there, that I played that one for, and it's pretty much the same game, different, but very, very similar, right? You're still rolling your characters. There's the outside game and then the in-game game, and it's interesting. It's fun. It's quirky. Don't expect anything elaborate or serious storyline wise, but it is different in a very cool way, and especially the fact that they don't charge too much for it. I'm not sure what they're charging on the eShop, but I can't imagine it being that much.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up, but yeah, I can't see it being too much either. But But yeah, it's kind of got a very interesting aspect where it's got, you know, the game and metagame, all that sort of stuff. A lot of different mechanics going into it.
Yeah, so it looks like it's going to be either 10 or 12 bucks. I see 12, but that's in British pounds. So I'm not sure what
we
it's
we live in the US.
Yeah, I know.
It's going to be $12.49.
$12.49?
Yeah, $12.49 Galaxy of Pen and Paper plus one edition. You can actually pre-purchase it now, and it's, like I had said, April 8th, 2020.
Yep.
So next we have. Did you have any closing thoughts there?
No.
Sorry. All right. Well, don't stop interrupting me. Dread Nautical release dates have been announced. Now, Dread Nautical is I'm not sure if I'm entirely sold on this quite yet. But the release date is set for the Nintendo Switch on April 29th. It's I don't know what it is about it that I'm really not sold. I think it's actually the cinematic sequences. They just don't work with me. But as far as the end game, it's okay. And it looks like to be kind of a tactical RPG by the same folks who brought you Operencia, Zen Studios. Now, Zen Studios, actually, they're really well known for their pinball games. But here they are making some...
that company.
Yeah, so like Star Wars Pinball, like a bunch of them. But here they are making some decent RPGs. I think they also... It's coming out on the PS4, Xbox, all that stuff. It's coming out. So yeah, did you have a chance to look at Dread Nautical?
Yeah, I looked at it. It looks I like the UI. It looks good.
Yeah, it's got a really kind of cool UI. I still need to be sold on the cinematic sequences. I don't know if I'm quite there yet. But yeah. So Dread Nautical coming out on console April 29th. Next, we have an RPG with no combat, like I had mentioned to you off kind of screen here. Game called Game Deck. I actually did an interview with them. You can find it on the YouTube channel. Game Deck is being put out by Anshar Studios, and they're coming up with a Kickstarter. They had a very small or low goal, I thought anyway. And I didn't think this was going to go to Kickstarter. They did mention it to me. Because the reason why I say that is because I thought they had a publisher waiting for them. I thought, is it 11-Bit Studios? I thought they were gonna kind of help them out with this, and apparently not.
Right now, it looks like it's going to be self-published because they're listing themselves as the publisher.
Right.
So
yeah,
maybe that's not solidified.
Maybe something happened. I don't know. But they were successful in their crowdfunding. I think it took maybe a day or so. And Game Deck is it's kind of like a crime-solving mystery type RPG. There are plenty of playthroughs you can watch on YouTube if you wanted to, but it's kind of an isometric angle. I think it looks cool. It's just like you had mentioned something about having no combat possibly kind of being an issue.
I think it's certainly an issue if they took a tradition, because the isometric view, right? It looks, and I'm seeing a lot of click, and I'm watching like a live gameplay feed that they're doing on Steam right now, and it looks like a traditional CRPG.
Right
now, the dialogue system, there is a lot of options here. I see lots of choices happening in the dialogue. I don't know what it means, but that to me looks interesting. But without combat, you're removing one of the key pillars that make up RPGs. Traditional, and pretty much most RPGs have combat as a focal point. It's not just combat. Other ancillary things are there for the sole purpose of enhancing combat. When you level up in like Mass Effect, the nodes that you're choosing, these additional perks that you're getting are pretty much combat related. There's very few games where RPGs where you're choosing level up perks, what have you, that have no bearing on combat. Probably like the what's that other cyberpunk game?
Cyberpunk 2077.
No, Deus Ex.
Deus Ex, yeah.
Yeah, Deus Ex is one of them where you can do like pacifist. Well, depending on which Deus Ex game you're talking about,
Right.
but you can kind of do like more role playing, pacifist style gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Fallout, kinda, and Skyrim. Well, Skyrim I don't think has any social dialogue-y type things, but
No.
Fallout I think does. Or maybe I'm thinking of. I think I'm thinking of that Space Age game.
Space Age game.
Yeah, it's like Fallout but in space.
Mass Effect?
We both played it and beat it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It just came out.
Oh, The Outer Worlds.
Yes, Outer
okay.
Worlds. Because that one does have some like persuasive. You can play the game purely on just dialogue, but there's out of all of those different trees and skills that you can and perks that you can choose from, more than half of them are dedicated to enhancing combat or making combat easier.
Right.
In a game like this that has, as you said, no combat, they got to do a whole lot more. They essentially got to add half that. So they got to have as interesting and as good of a dialogue system as the Outer Worlds, and then some.
I think with this one, it's got a very unique story to it. It has almost that in-game and out-of-game story. Essentially, you're a game deck. You're like almost like the police officer of the Matrix, basically. If that kind of makes sense. So you kind of tap into this fake world that you essentially are playing in, and you're kind of like a crime solver in that pretend world. So if you watch the gameplay, I really recommend that you do. It's the most recent one, March 25th. I think they put it out for their Kickstarter launch. It's, I think, about maybe about 10, 11 minutes of it. Watch it, because it shows a lot of the skill tree, a lot of different stuff that I think it could persuade some people to get this game, because I think it's got something going for it. So
it definitely looks like, I'm looking at live footage right now, and there are interesting things going on. So it's definitely something. It's different, and not only that, graphically, it's impressive
for a kind of an indie
impressive
type of studio. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah,
and they just did something crazy. They just made the entire environment go like orange.
Yep.
Orangey brown.
So, like I told you, you're in this like it's almost like the Matrix. You can manipulate that. You can control it.
Yeah, I'm seeing them do it right now. You know what they could do? In a game specifically like this, is kind of like taking, if they borrow, and I hope they do, they borrow some of those hacking elements that you do in Watch Dogs.
They do.
And incorporate that. It looks like they're doing some of that right now.
I actually did it. I was able at PAX. I was able to play the game, and yeah, that's one of the things where you actually have to go in and hack and do a bunch of stuff. It's like I said, it doesn't have the combat, but it's got a lot of different other type of elements that I think are really gonna kind of change people's minds.
It looks good.
Yeah, definitely recommend that. What else we got? Let me see. Another Kickstarter. You said we had mentioned this. I think I'm calling you a liar. Okay? You are a liar.
Call me liar all you want. We looked at this. Maybe we looked at this off
I think you sent it to me.
It's made by the same people as The Messenger. I think we talked about this like 3 podcasts ago.
Okay, we definitely did not. Okay. So Kickstarter, another Kickstarter, Sea of Stars. Sea of Stars is, again, you broke it before me, but yeah, they're the same people who did The Messenger. And apparently this game, Sea of Stars, is set in that same universe. It might be kind of a prequel. I'm not entirely sure. But I absolutely love the look of this game. I myself, along with other people, immediately backed it. So the game was coming out regardless. They even said it in their Kickstarter. I think it was Q&A or whatever. Frequently asked questions. I don't know. They said they were going to come out with the game regardless. Now, whether or not people were interested, they wanted to obviously gauge some interest, as well as maybe add a few other things, which they're kind of in the process of it now. Man, I immediately jumped on this game because I think it's a 2022 launch. I think that's what's in my head. But they were looking to initially hit $90,000, and I think they're at maybe almost $300K.
Wow.
Which is I don't have that in front of me. I'd have to pull it up. But yeah, and I think they're adding also co-op. So you had kind of the Sun and Moon characters. I think that they're the children of the solstice, and now they've added a co-op mechanic to it, or they are planning to add a co-op. It's a Kickstarter, so a lot of these things, again with Kickstarters, there's a lot of promises. Sometimes things change. So, but that was one of the stretch goals. And they've also added in-game cinematics, so that was a stretch goal. Or I'm sorry, that is a current stretch goal. Yeah. But what I really like about this game, and I think I've mentioned it in other games, pixel art can go either way for me, right?
Pixel art looks amazing. Oh,
I'm saying in general, pixel art can go, it can go really bad, or it can go really good. This one, it looks amazing.
It's beyond good. Yeah.
Yeah. So other examples, Children of Morta, I believe, looks amazing. Another game that I'm actually backing is called Chained Echoes. Again, I think looks really good. Eastward, that's coming out, looks, I think, really good. Now, what sets those games apart from just the standard pixel art game is the dynamic lighting. I think dynamic lighting in pixel art, I think Octopath kind of does that as well. Just kind of the shadows.
Well, differently. So Octopath is able to do it because it's a 3D engine.
Mm-hmm.
These games appear to be running enhanced 2D engines and they baked in their own lighting system into it.
Right. That's what the folks at Eastward did. I know that for sure. I'm guessing that's what these guys are in the process of or doing as well. But I think it adds another layer of just plain old pixel art games. Like you're talking Arafel. Don't get me wrong, that game does look good, especially the enhancements that they've done recently, but it doesn't have that lighting, the extra layer that I think that it really attracts me personally.
Yep.
So that's why, and they even mention it in their Kickstarter trailer, dynamic lighting, and I don't know if that's going to be some sort of buzzword now, but man, it really sets that trailer apart for sure.
Well, it's something that you don't typically do on a 2D engine because dynamic lighting, you have to play around with shaders, and 2D engines, the beauty of 2D engines is you're not working directly with the shaders, and because not only does it take up more performance, it's also more complexity, and you're manipulating pixels dynamically, which means you can't draw as much to the screen. It depends on the engine that you're using. Most engines don't support that, and if they do, you're putting a burden on your CPU because you're not able to directly write a shader to the GPU and have it do all that dynamic stuff.
Okay.
That's just the nature of 2D engines. But
yeah,
when you customize it, when you sort of pull the hood up and start to like tinker with the mechanics of the engine, you can do that. It's just extra nuance and it has its own degree of complexity, and it looks like they went through that process to enhance whatever it is that they're doing here, and it, as you mentioned, it looks good because of it, real good.
Right, it just sets it apart totally. There are no random encounters. It is a turn-based RPG, no random encounters. And
it looks like Chrono Trigger.
I was actually I was just gonna say that it's
Yeah.
very reminiscent of Chrono Trigger, and again, that's gonna be, I think, another new buzzword. Because actually, Cosmic Star Heroine does the same sort of thing. Like, there's no changeover to like a battle scene or anything like that. It's just kind of, you encounter an enemy, everybody takes their kind of positions as to where they kind of were, and fight.
Yep.
And yeah, if you haven't heard of Sea of Stars on Kickstarter, I suggest that, take a look at it. If you're not the sort of person who, because some people are very weary of Kickstarter games, as well they should be. This would, I think, be a safe one to put money behind for sure.
Wow. Just seeing like the change of day to night. They got reflections going on. They have a change of time and day, and you can see the shadows actually cascade
Yep. Yeah.
from one direction to another. It's, that's something that you expect on 3D engines, but in 2D engines, right, everything's typically pre-baked
Yep.
and non-dynamic. And the fact that they went that extra mile, it looks good.
And yeah, and
Looks
that's the dynamic lighting I was talking about, and that just sets it apart. Like, it's unbelievable. It's like, oh, can't wait for this one now. It's gonna be a while, but that's okay. I will wait. It wouldn't be a Switchrpg podcast if we didn't talk about the next news topic. The next news topic is Platinum Games finally going to announce their fourth announcement of the Platinum 4. So the first one was the Wonderful 101 remastered and Kickstarter announcement. And then we had Project GG, which is the Ultraman inspired whatever it is. I don't know what it is. And then we have Platinum Games introducing a newly established studio in Tokyo, which I don't know if that was I don't know if that's worthy of one of the announcements, but hey, that's one of the announcements they had, so it's pretty big deal for them for sure. But obviously, we are looking on the consumer side of things. We're looking for more games, right? So the fourth one is set to announce on April 1st. I don't trust anything that comes out on April 1st.
You could have fooled me. I thought they already announced their fourth. They made their fourth announcement.
Nope, they haven't. And April 1st is going to be the announcement. Why they chose that day, I don't know. But Hideki Kamiya said at PAX 2020, it's going to be a doozy. I don't picture him saying that, but that's okay. It's going to be a doozy, whatever that means.
Beautiful Joe. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I guess.
And Shinagogo.
I don't know what they're gonna pick. But we only have a few more days before we get to that announcement. So you're hoping maybe Beautiful Joe? Is that what it is?
Well, I mean, Beautiful Joe, absolutely, because that is an amazing game. The first and the second, both really good, interesting gameplay. It's like some of the best beat 'em up gameplay that you can get. They don't go crazy with 3D stuff. It's all side scroll beat 'em up, slow down time, speed up time, do the zoom in stuff. Really good stuff. Hard, awesome combo system to it. It's just like hard but solid and fair. Bad story, but it's cheesy stuff. But you kind of get it because they went for like this weird comic book style superhero thing. But if they don't do that, that's perfectly fine, because my next hope is that they do something brand new yet again, because oh man, was Astral Chain so good.
Right. Maybe it'll be Astral Chain 2. Who knows? I doubt it. I really doubt it, but
man, Astral Chain is, what? I don't doubt it, because Astral Chain surprised them on sales. It sold really well, and that game, it's my opinion, action game of the year last year.
Yeah.
No question.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing.
And you think maybe
if Fire Emblem didn't come out, it probably would have been my favorite pick for that year.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Now,
If it
you
wasn't
think
for Fire
it's an
Emblem,
RPG as well?
it's close.
It's
It's
close.
very, very close. I wouldn't people for considering it an RPG. I would consider it an RPG in most respects as well.
Okay. I still need to get it. I mean, I don't know when on or if I'll ever have time to play it, but I do want to get into it.
You forgot to borrow my copy.
No, you forgot to give me your copy.
Ask for it. It's here.
Well, now I don't know when I'll get it because we can't even reach out anymore. This is
Digital.
this yeah, digital. So yeah, April 1st. And that's a news day typically where you don't want to trust anything. So
Well, it's on a Wednesday, so typically we usually record on Wednesdays, so
okay,
it's a nice little present for the both of us.
nice. Maybe we'll get some sort of RPG. That'd be great. All right, next you said we talked about this game. I'm calling you a liar. Fate Tactics. Fate Tactics is coming out this spring by the is it Humble Bundle? Are they doing this again? Publishing?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, they've been getting deeper into the RPG publishing aspect of things. But this is a tactical RPG, kind of small scale, I guess you could call it, tactical grid-based RPG. And it's very pixel art. It is pixel art, not very pixel art. It is pixel art. It seems like very traditional. Nothing maybe stands out for me anyway. What do you think?
It's a bunch of people that are fans of Final Fantasy Tactics.
Yep.
Clearly, and they're trying to. I would say more so. What's that game that is more lighthearted? Very long, very grindy.
It looks like a mix of Final Fantasy Tactics and Disgaea. I was just gonna say that. It looks like a blending of that. And if you're into either one or both of those genres, I think Fate Tactics is probably gonna be something kind of up your alley. I know Disgaea has kind of like over the top animations or like combat animations or attack animations. I don't know if this game's gonna have that sort of stuff, but it definitely has that Disgaea feel to me. And
the animations look great.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm looking at a video of it right now. This is a good looking sprite, pixel art game. Well animated as well. Very colorful. It has that more lighthearted approach to it, appealing to teenage target demographic, but food stuff is weird. That's throwing me off, but whatever.
Yeah, it's got some sort of food crafting or cooking mechanic. Yeah.
It's almost like a puzzle, like a phone match 3 kind of thing going on.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what to make of that.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks like there's the weather will have an effect on combat because it's keeping track of whether or not there's rain, terrain elevation, which was something that was introduced in I think Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics. One of those had it. It's clearly inspired by Tactics Fire Final Fantasy Tactics. So it looks good. It looks solid. Yeah, that's all I can say. It just looks nice and solid and graphically very pleasing, and it's nice and dense. That's a nice good thing too. It doesn't have like these large elongated battlefields.
Right, like I had said, it's kind of like a small scale battle map. Which you're right. I think it's nice to have something like that. Almost not as small as Into the Breach. I think Into the Breach is very, 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 very small.
Nothing gets denser than that.
Yeah, so it's not substantially larger, but it's a little larger than that.
I would say it's substantially larger. Into Reach is teeny. That is micro tactics.
micro tactics. A new genre.
There's nothing else that plays like Into the Reach. I love that game so much. That game is amazing.
I was debating on whether or not to take this out of the news section altogether, but Blue Protocol is coming out with a closed beta. And I think they're going to announce that soon. When do they announce it? It's set. The beta test is set for April 23rd to the 26th.
It was
And
supposed to be this month. It was supposed to be right around now.
yeah, I guess with all the corona stuff, it got delayed. And users who were chosen to participate will be notified on March 30th. If you're unfamiliar with what Blue Protocol is, it is a very anime-inspired MMO that's coming out. I think it's only confirmed for the PC, but I also heard or thought that it was also, or read somewhere, that it was coming out for the Switch along with all the other consoles. So,
Oh, look at that.
what are you looking at?
That's why this reminds me so much of. This is made by Bandai Namco.
Of course it is, yes.
So it
Tails.
might very well be the Tales team working on this game.
It could be. And what better team to have working on imagine, all right, you love the Tales of games, right? Imagine a large scale MMO type of Tales of game.
Tales of MMO, sign me up. That's how you get me back into MMOs. If it's Tales,
the very
of
bad
MMO,
world of MMOs.
Yeah, I do not like MMOs anymore. They are time sinks and grind fests and just a whole lot of stuff that I don't like. Commitments and
yeah,
responsibilities.
Right, when you have real world responsibilities, they're tough. They're tough to get into, and
their stories are not that good.
Well, I mean, if you could combine a decent story with really good or decent end game, which is really kind of hard to do, I think the end game where typically is where it'll fall apart. I mean, I don't know. You have to consistently come out with new expansions or DLCs to keep people kind of interested, I think.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's kind of the same old stuff.
But this game looks absolutely great, and if I could ever figure out how to sign up for the beta, I totally would, just to check it out. Because one thing that Tales Games has never had, I think, I can't remember any of the Tales games ever having, is a create your own Tales character. And being an MMO,
oh yeah,
MMOs are typically the quintessential create a character.
Right.
Setting. So to create my own Tales character, with that whole anime crazy hair and stuff like that, sign me up. Sign me up. I'm down.
Let's sign you up. We're gonna look for it. We gotta find out where that is gonna. But yeah, it definitely has that Tales of, especially the newer Tales. It has that aesthetic. I wonder. Well, they're also working on is it Tales of Arise? Is that
yes.
what it is? So there's a lot going on at Bandai Namco. They have a lot going on.
I am just chomping at the bit for Tales of Arise.
Oh
just
man,
chomping.
I really hope
wait.
for my selfishness that I hope it comes out for the Switch. I really don't see that game coming out for the Switch, but I want it to come out for the Switch because otherwise I don't know how I'll play it. But all right, we'll figure that out at another time.
Yeah, that's definitely not coming out to the Switch. It's a brand new engine, and just the fact that they struggle on making good engines to begin with, and this one, they went all out. Oh man, I'm looking at the gameplay from E3 last year.
Don't do
Tales
it.
of Arise.
Just don't do it. It's really, really good. All right, next on the docket, we have a new 2D action RPG called, or it's not new, it's new to the Switch, called The Vagrant. Again, like I said, it's a 2D action RPG. It, I don't know, what are your thoughts on this one?
It reminds me of Muramasa, the Demon Blade.
I don't even know what you just said.
It's a game that came out on the Wii. It's a side-scroll platformer RPG action-y game. The art style looks very much like that. Not as good, but it looks very much like that. And the art style in this Vagrant game doesn't look bad at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's got ridiculously proportioned protagonists.
What do you mean? I know what you mean. You don't have to go into it.
Yeah. But that's kind of what I think they call themselves that Japanese studio. They call them, I think they're called Vanillaware. That's kind of what they do. They do go out of their way to produce like this ridiculous proportion characters, like huge muscles and
Yeah.
slim like tiny feet and stuff like that. Weird character design and stuff like that, but in a cool way. And this game looks like it has that very beautiful backdrops and just the enemies, like everything. The animations look pretty good. It's not overly impressive, but it is still impressive to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And on Steam, the game is you can just buy and play the game on Steam outright. It's been on Steam for 2 years or almost 2 years, a year and a half. It's $4 on Steam.
So
that's the part that kind of makes me say,
yeah, we don't know what it's going to be on the Switch. But yeah, it's been on there for a while.
Yeah. I will say this. On Steam, it has more than a 90% user review score.
That's pretty good.
Of satisfaction, right? That is very good. That is a very, anything 90 or above, could potentially be worth your time. Now, how much of that is based on the fact that this game is only $4? I don't know.
Right, but I mean, people could buy the game, but just not like it, and they would tell you. But people actually seem to like this game, so
yeah.
So
it could be short though. 6 massive levels. So I don't know how long the game is. Maybe that's, but
yeah, it could be a shorter type of game, and I don't know what RPG elements it has in it, but it just looks like a very much 2D side-scrolling hack and slash type of game. I don't know if it's got Metroidvania aspects to it. Like I said, I don't know if it has what sort of RPG elements it's got coming to it or for it. So yeah, the Vagrant.
If it plays anything like Muramasa, the Demon Blade, which it looks like it's intentionally trying to riff on that.
Mm-hmm.
There are very slight Metroidvania elements to it. Very, very slight. It's mostly there for the sake of gating you on purpose, and then once you get the item or the ability, what have you, you can pass through that gate and unlock the next.
Okay.
And then sometimes they'll lock off certain parts of a level that you can then backtrack to get a power.
Okay, so yeah,
minimal Metroidvania stuff.
It's a possibility that they'll do the kind of the same sort of stuff then.
Yep.
Maybe.
I don't see any maps on this one.
Yeah, I don't know how they implement any of that stuff. So I don't know. All right. That's going to do it kind of for our quick rundown of some new how long have it quick rundown, quotations of the news. But now we to the crux of it all. We had a Nintendo Mini Direct kind of just dropping right on our laps yesterday. Was it yesterday? These days are just
it was yesterday.
Yeah, these days are just, with me not going to work, I'm just totally lost. I like the other day I just didn't even know what day of the week it was. It was just that bad. But anyways, it was dropped on us on the 26th. And I'm going to call this an RPG Direct because there were just loads and loads of RPGs in this Direct.
Quite a few.
Yeah, we have a quick kind of rundown on mynintendonews.com here. And first, they open up the Direct with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. As I've told you, I've never played Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive, or Xenoblade Chronicles, the original there. I've never played it. So when they were showing it, I've barely even seen, playthroughs of it. So they're showing this game, I'm like, wow, this looks freaking awesome. What is this? This is unbelievable. And I just kept saying stuff like that to myself. And then all of a sudden, they just show it. I'm like, whoa, that looks a lot more than just like a little remaster. It looks like they put the entire game, and they may have done this, put the entire original game in the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 using the Xenoblade Chronicles 2 engine.
Yeah,
so there's
that's what
there's
it looks like.
there's a lot more than just HD res up-resing. Like UIs have changed. I know this now from watching or reading up on it. Like UIs have changed. Everything is just different. This is
Yeah,
this is not just an HD. This is not just a remaster. This is definitely a remake, without a doubt.
there. I am a little so. I was hyped about this when they first announced it, but now with this Nintendo Direct, I am slightly worried, just like very slightly worried, because they are remastering / remixing some of the soundtrack, which to me is like, do not touch. It was perfect before.
Maybe
Please do
there'll be an option, right? And a lot of games are doing this. Do you want the original score, or do you want the new score?
Right.
We'll see.
I'm just hoping if they do touch it, I'm hoping it's just as good, if not better. And if it isn't, give me the option to go back to the original, because the original soundtrack to this game is pretty much perfect. It's like one of the best video game soundtracks of all time. Absolutely phenomenal.
Mhm.
I don't think they're redoing any of the voice work, because I think the voice work, once again, is also phenomenal on the previous one. Just some of the best. Like I don't like the voice work on Xenoblade 2, but Xenoblade 1, awesome. No
Right.
complaints with the vocal whatsoever. Just excellent voice acting all around. So the other thing that has me a little scared is that UI overhaul.
Really?
Yeah.
You think it looks bad?
It looks so simple.
Okay.
And because the game did get I think reamed a little bit based on its UI when it originally released, because you got to remember it was kind of like a low budget effort to localize it, and Nintendo of America didn't even localize it. It was Nintendo of Europe that did the localization,
Right.
and then they took the UK version and just brought it over to the States and didn't change anything. Or if they did, it was probably like to change the spelling of some UK British word to
Right.
the American version of the word, like removing a Z and making it an S instead, or something weird like that. Like very subtle stuff, minor. They didn't do any of the voice works, right? Everything was still like British, UK, whatever accents galore. But the UI, yeah, let's see. That looks like the original UI. I'm trying to look at when they're showing the skills.
Right.
I saw that, and so the combat, and you see the row of abilities on the very bottom of it. That is overhauled. They made it. It has a friendlier presentation to it, especially the fact that they're including the buffs and debuffs on the far right hand side of the screen. So
Mhm.
I have it pause framed on one particular spot when they're going into combat and showing the combat side of the UI changes. It just, the older UI kind of, it almost had like the Japanese kanji on some of the iconography.
Right.
I can see why they would want to change that or remove that, because it may have been a little weird or confusing for people, but it looked kind of appropriate. It looked all right. But what I
Right.
see now with this redesign, it looks a little bit too simple. Like it was redesigned, but not from the original team that made the icon. So they kind of went to like a low budget, almost like the localizer, the people that weren't part of the team, like Monolith Soft, didn't do these icon redesigns. It was someone else.
I
That's
think
what it looks like.
I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I think you're absolutely insane. Um, I think it looks absolutely fine.
It looks simple though.
It does
looks
look
very simple.
It does look simple, almost like mobile phone esque, I guess you could say it.
Yes.
You know, kind of like your tap icons. I think it looks fine, especially for me. I'm coming at this very, very green. I'm not. This is not my baby like it is your baby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think it looks. I can see what you're saying. I could see where it does. I know it's not a mobile phone, but maybe there's going to be some sort of handheld aspect to it, where this is going to be a little bit easier to play handheld. I think that's what they're kind of maybe also looking at, because you can play this system in two different methods. So maybe having the iconography like this as opposed to how it was in the 3DS version, because the 3DS version, again, I looked at screenshots of those. It is muddy as hell, and obviously we're going to have a little more clarity with the Switch. So maybe they're taking that into consideration as well. Kind of like maybe you actually will be able to touch these icons with your finger or whatever. So I don't know. I think it was fine. I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. It could be fine, but like there's.
You don't sound like you're with me though.
They had like an aesthetic.
Yeah.
With the old design of the icons.
Right.
And it kind of seems like they lost a little bit of that aesthetic that they were going for. I'm now bouncing back and forth between the old version and the new version. So it's not so much that the icons are different, but the mini map, it's more so the mini map is like very different.
Mm-hmm.
And it's simple.
I like the mini map look. It's not very 3D in the new version, the definitive version. I don't remember what it looked like in the original. Maybe it's got more textures in it. Is that what you're seeing?
It has like a design to it. It looks like a like it's a mechanical compass that exists within the world.
Yeah. So they definitely changed that then as well. I don't know.
Yeah. So look, I am nitpicking. I just this game is near and dear. It is such an amazing. It's my favorite RPG of all time. Like this game in particular, I just want to hope that they don't mess things up.
Right. No, yeah, without a doubt. You don't want them to completely botch it, but I think with Monolith Soft, they have a pedigree where they're not going to want to disappoint, and they know what they have to live up to. I think anyway, and
yeah.
I don't know. I again, coming at this from a noob, I'm really definitely into it. And they're also, even for you old people who've played it before, they're coming out with a and is it DLC or kind of is that what it was? I can't remember.
Oh,
is that in our write up here?
Content. Yeah, it's an epilogue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think it's DLC. I think it's going to be the same package.
Okay.
So it's. I don't know if you have to beat the game in order to do that epilogue stuff, or if it's sort of like end game. It's certainly end game of some form. I just don't know what part of the game, if you have to beat the game in order to access the epilogue, or if there's like a time before the point of no return that you can start accessing the extra epilogue.
So that's pretty cool. I think they're like them adding some more flavor for people who have already played it. Kind of gives them another reason to jump into this massive, lengthy RPG. So
yeah, the changes that they have going on for this is so huge that, you know what? Ignore the fact that I'm like being slightly worried that they're tampering with an amazing game. I'm all in. Like, even the character redesigns alone is just more than worth. Because the way the characters looked on the old version is just like it's like they lean heavily on the anime look, and it looks good. It looks good. Like, looks super, super solid and great. It's going to be the same game, just with a different coat of paint. And because it's so different, like that's going to feel new to me. And I just can't wait to play this game a third time.
A third time. So with you, with you, it's Xenoblade Chronicles. With me, it's Divinity: Original Sin.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely in on all this, and I can't wait to play it. And I'll probably be just like you, where I'm playing this a third time or whatever. How long was your playthrough? Do you remember? Was it hundreds?
See, I think it was 120.
Okay. Oh boy. All right. So got ourselves a little bit of a kind
Keep
of a
in
marathon.
mind, I spent 160 on Fire Emblem. So
are you a type of are you a completionist? Is that what you would call it?
It depends on the game. For example, the Outer Worlds, I got to a certain point where I just wanted to beat the game and end it. Xenoblade, I did not want to end.
Yep.
That game, I just wanted it to keep going, and I didn't complete it. I wasn't completionist, but it was just like the things that were in there were just so fun to do that I just did them.
Right. All right. And that's coming up really, really quick. This Xenoblade.
I'm excited for you.
For me, it's almost like I know what you're talking about. It's almost like for people who are playing Breath of the Wild for the first time. It's like one of those types of games where you're like, oh man, if I could also get that feeling back, like the first time I played that game. I know what you're talking about. I really can't wait to play this game.
I've watched Let's Plays of Xenoblade Chronicles from YouTubers and stuff like that, like Etika. Rest in peace and all that. Him playing through Xenoblade and hitting these particular moments, these key moments in the storyline, just seeing the responses from various people playing through it, and it's just awesome. It's just awesome. Like I not only do I love playing the game, I love watching people play the game for the first time. It was amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah, I can't wait to play it. So when is the release date on that?
May 29.
May 29th. Holy cow.
Was that Memorial Day?
I don't know when Memorial Day is. I don't even know what day of the week it is. You want me to know calendar other things? And I'm hoping to get a collector's edition on this as well. So that's just the way I am. So again, where are we here? I lost my pages here.
Nintendo
Direct. Go ahead.
Well, so they announced a bunch of stuff. I don't know if we're going in order of announcements or how you want to do stuff. Just pull stuff out of the hat.
Pull stuff out of the hat.
Yeah. So we talked about Bravely Default 2 already.
Yep.
So we're both on board for that.
Yep.
I'll probably wait until at the very least I beat Octopath. I'll certainly wait to see how the reviews shake out. And if it reviews well enough, I'll probably scoop that right up and hammer on in.
Yeah. I think though it will be a while, just the way Octopath ran, where they had that kind of like the demo. It was almost like a beta version, and it was quite a few months before the full version was announced and released. So I think we still have
over a year.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of time with Bravely Default too. So
well, in the direct they said it's coming out this year.
Yeah, it would probably be in November if I had to guess, kind of later in the year.
I could even see it hidden December.
Yeah.
Like Xenoblade 2 did.
Yep.
Which is not, I don't think that's a bad time at all. I think, especially for an RPG, right?
Yeah.
Hidden in December. Great time.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. So there was the trifecta of Take Two? Not Take Two.
2K.
2K. Which is a Borderlands collection, a BioShock collection, which I'm super excited for. I will buy those BioShock games again and just play through them again. Because I never beat any of them.
No.
But now that it's coming to Switch, even though I have like the definitive remastered Super HD version on my PC, if I could play it on Switch, I know I'll actually beat them.
Right.
And then the actual 2K game that I haven't gotten, and I am been wanting to get it, but for some reason I just haven't, is XCOM 2.
Yeah.
Which comes with the expansion and DLC.
Right.
So it has the War of the Chosen
comes
expansion.
with a lot. It comes, like you had said, it comes with the War of the Chosen expansion along with a bunch of other DLC packs.
Yeah.
So there's
Have you played either XCOM games, one or
no.
two?
I absolutely love these kinds of games, and I've never played XCOM. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I've never played them.
It's like Darkest Dungeon, right? Or Darkest Dungeon is actually more XCOM.
Yep.
It's just like that. You have a crew of people. They level up. You're taking them down. There is permadeath that can happen.
Yep.
You have this big giant meta game, which is a lot of what makes it very interesting. There is an overarching storyline that's going on. Things are just no matter how good you do, things are always getting worse, which is great within the XCOM universe. It just like you're always feeling pressured. You make a wrong decision or something, the dice rolls and lands on 1 instead of a 20, and you end up losing like some squad mate that like
Oh no.
like de facto person from square one, and now like they're dead, and
Right.
all their like their experience and prestige is gone. You have to get a fresh new recruit, and the new recruits get scared when they're entering combat for the
And
first
they'll
time.
run
It's just great.
Well, they won't run away on you, will they?
They get I think in the first game it was called Panicked.
Oh,
So they'll go into like a panic state, and I can't remember, but I think they skipped their turn.
okay.
They would like duck behind cover and just do nothing when they got panicked.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, it's XCOM is absolutely fantastic. And then the metagame part is you're building out your base, you're researching alien technology, human technology, you're enhancing the loadout, the weapons that your squads can use, and all sorts of great stuff like that. And you can also capture the aliens and then experiment on them and dissect them and stuff like that. It's
And this is the game that all strategy games, tactical strategy games, are compared to. Or at least the kind of the duck and cover type ones. Everything's just compared to XCOM. And for me, being a fan of those games, I've never actually played XCOM, so I'm really interested. I definitely want to play this now. Another thing I'm really interested about is, will it come physical? Number one, I think it will. And will it be on a cartridge? Like, are these 3 games that collections, basically. They're massive collections. Are they going to be on a cartridge, or are they just going to be on a piece of paper? Here, download it. So, like you said,
I hope they don't do that.
well, I mean, it's happened. So we got XCOM 2, War of the Chosen, 4 DLC packs, possibly going on 1 cartridge. I don't know. Then we have Borderlands, the Legendary Collection, Borderlands number 1, the Game of the Year edition, Borderlands 2, and then the Borderlands, the pre-sequel. So again, those are another 3 massive games. Possibly on a cartridge. I don't believe it either. And then you have BioShock, the collection, BioShock Remastered, BioShock 2 Remastered, and then BioShock Infinite. Now, one thing I really find interesting, and I don't know, is that they don't say this on the Nintendo eShop pages. Typically, they'll have like a game size, and those are all non-existent. There are no game sizes to be found.
Yeah. It does list though. It does list download version.
Yep.
And Nintendo Switch game card.
Right. That's kind of what the next thing I was going to mention is that it does have the differentiation between the two, which is, again, I don't know. I really just don't see these all being on the 1 cartridge. I don't know how it's going to happen. Maybe there's some wizardry going on in the background, but be prepared for this dish to be a piece of paper in a case if it does come physical, because that could be what will happen. And a lot of people will be unhappy about it. And that is too bad. More RPG stuff. Ring Fit Adventure. Yep. If y'all haven't played it, it is very much an RPG, and they've added different game types. They've added more of a story, as well as some rhythm game type of stuff to like Legend of the Zelda music, things of like that. So they've added on a lot more to that. So they're doubling down on the Ring Fit Adventure, which is kind of good. We're all stuck. Well, a lot of us are stuck at home, so why not work out a little bit, I guess.
And new voices. Don't forget that.
Oh yes, we now have a female voice. Is that correct?
And different languages like French.
There we go.
Uh,
Good. Excellent.
So apparently that was. I think what happened is Nintendo didn't expect Ring Fit Adventure to sell as well as it did.
Right.
And then it started to sell as well as it has.
So
and it's gone crazy. And now Nintendo's like, oh, there's people in France that want to play this, and people in Brazil that want to play. Oh, we need to like localize the hell out.
That's right. I mean, it's Nintendo. Why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
Then we had some more information on Marvel Ultimate Alliance: The Black Order.
Big storyline stuff.
Yeah, I think this is the last of the expansion packs. It's basically Fantastic Four. This will probably be the only good Fantastic Four anything you'll see, other than the animation. The movies are absolutely atrocious. So here we are playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance to get our Fantastic Four fix, and like you had said, it is quite a expansive. It looks like a lot of story elements in Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
It says right there, new story campaign.
There you go.
So it's a big update. There's, speaking of expansion passy stuff, they went into more detail on the Pokemon Sword and Shield expansion stuff. The first one that's going to release in a few months. They detailed that. I don't think that there was anything too exciting about what they mentioned with Sword and Shield. But if you're a fan and have the game already, like more content for that already big game, that's going to be good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Another one that they actually spent a lot more time than I thought they would be, considering the game that it is. I don't know if you're with me here, but King's Bounty 2. King's Bounty 2, it looks really kind of cool, I think, anyway.
It looks real good.
Yeah, it looks like it's been it looks like a current version game. Apparently this is an older. Is this an older game? Am I correct? No.
King's Bounty 2. So King's Bounty is old.
Yeah.
The King's Bounty 2 is brand new. It hasn't actually released yet.
Oh. Well, look at that.
So it's set to release on Steam sometime this year.
Okay. As well as King's Bounty 2 on the Switch. It says release date 2020.
Yeah. That surprised me, the fact that they are releasing King's Bounty seemingly day and date with the PC version. I actually thought that the PC version was out already, but no, it hasn't even released yet. There is you could see it in the gameplay video. There is certainly a downgrade of visuals compared to the PC version, but the PC version is not. You're not. You kind of think in terms of like Witcher, few steps down. just don't expect Witcher. It will not look as good as Witcher, even though it's like the same type of medieval fantasy, like realistic medieval fantasy that Witcher is. The environment and the characters, clothes they wear, and stuff like that. It's more grounded and rooted in that kind of mythos, but not as good looking. But the scale of which the combat plays out, it is much grander, bigger. It reminds me when they showed those hexes and being able to target other units, and you have different units taking up their own hex space, and you had different types of units, soldiers, and I think they had like some like troll looking thing that was part of some combat thing going on. So different stuff like that was going on. It reminded me almost directly of that game I praised earlier, which earlier this year, which was Age of Wonders 3.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So it looks very similar combat-wise to that. Turn-based, tactical combat with big-ish armies. I don't know how big this one's going to get in combat and armies, But some of these screenshots, you see quite a few units, quite
Right.
a few things are making up combat engagement. I can count 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, potentially 12 units all on just one screenshot.
Right.
That's cool.
It is cool. And it definitely wasn't something I was expecting. I'd never heard of King's Bounty. Apparently it was from the 90s, so it's been a while. Been a while. So yeah, King's Bounty 2, and apparently it has a lot of RPG elements into it. It's very much a very in-depth RPG.
Well, it's a strategy RPG, which is pretty much my bread and butter. If you ask me, I would say that XCOM falls into the strategy RPG
Yep.
side of things as well. The strategy being the metagame, and sort of like the progressive and long running storyline segments being the RPG sort of marriage of the two. And this one looks like that, although this one looks way more grounded in RPG things. They show a lot of like in town interaction
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. There's actually, they don't show too much of the combat.
Yeah, no, that was one thing that I was going to mention is kind of missing from the whole thing. Maybe they'll have more to show, or maybe it's somewhere else in the YouTube's land. I haven't even really looked into it that much, to be honest with you. But it definitely caught my eye. Definitely caught my eye.
This was my pick for the whole mini direct.
Really?
This was the game. Yeah, this is my big like surprise takeaway was this game in particular.
Nice. Okay. Well, for me, it was Xenoblade because at first I had no idea what it was, and then and then they just obviously it's Xenoblade, Geo, just freaking relax. So yeah, that was my biggest surprise. I wasn't expecting to see as much of it as we saw as well. So yeah, can't wait for that one. So yeah, that was King's Bounty 2. And that's just sometime in 2020. There's no release. Other than that, there's no other release window. Then we had kind of like a quick hit 'em up, right? Is that what it was? Where they show Saints Row 4,
Yep.
Trials of Mana, Elder Scrolls Blades again. I thought this was a canceled thing, but apparently it's coming back. I don't know.
Am I crazy? It looks good.
Play it. Play it mobile. Play it on the Android. Tell me what you think then.
Well, it's going to be free, so I'll probably download it and play it, and if it's actually worth, and not like doing all those bad free to play mechanics that I don't. Like.
It is very slow, very very slow going.
I'll probably play it for like 15 minutes and never play it again.
Never play it again because you know why? People don't game on their phones. But apparently they do in Japan. That's where a lot of money is made.
Well, I'm not going to download it on my phone. I'm saying when it comes to the Switch, it's probably going to be free to play.
No, definitely it should be, right? It's free to play on the phone.
Unless they go premium, right? Wasn't there a few like racing games that were free to play on phones, but then they brought it over to the Switch and they made a premium.
Okay.
But removed all the free to play like grinding.
And you know what? Maybe that's what they're doing, right? They were going to come out with this kind of freemium type of game, and now they're maybe going to remove that and charge you the premium price and kind of include everything. Maybe change the game a little bit altogether.
They're not doing that.
Yeah. And then Bethesda. You saw, yeah, but you haven't heard from Bethesda in a long time. It's been a while since
they're recovering from shooting themselves in the foot over and over.
Oh man, what is going on over there, Bethesda? Usually you hear from them at E3, so maybe they got something planned there. I don't know. And then you had Minecraft Dungeons, a little bit more of that. I'm waiting for that game to come out. I think that game looks really fun.
No solid date though.
No solid date. Spring 2020 is still what they have. Spring is now, isn't it? Yeah, winter is over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are officially in spring.
So maybe the next couple months we'll get a little bit more information on that. We definitely don't have a release date on it. I just want to make sure here. It says on the Nintendo site, it does have a date of April 30th. So Minecraft Dungeons, April 30th. Did we already know that? It's a possibility. But the rundown said spring 2020, so that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe the Corona is like a potential miss on the date.
Possibly.
That's the Corona date.
Corona date. Warhammer 40,000, 40K. Is that what they call it? Is this an RPG or is this kind of just a straight up kind of war army strategy game?
It's more tactics. I mean, I don't know to what degree that there is RPG long-ended sort of story and character progression, stuff like that in this.
Okay.
It's this is the PC game being brought over to Switch. The PC game came out almost a year and a half ago. So it's not new, but it's not old. And I will say that the PC game has a very positive
Steam review
score. So it's reviewing very well on Steam. It's probably going to be a pretty solid game as long as they port it appropriately and they don't run into any kind of technical issues. It's probably going to be pretty solid, but I don't know. I see a game like this, and don't get me wrong, Warhammer is right up my alley, and games like this are right up my alley. But when I see something like this, and I see Fire Emblem, which does come with these awesome written characters, this excellent storyline, long-term progression. I mean, the Warhammer stuff probably has better combat mechanics. Maybe. Or maybe I got tired of the Fire Emblem combat. I don't know. Maybe I'll get tired of the Warhammer stuff, and what's left? A either non-existent storyline with non-interesting characters, or a mediocre storyline and non-interesting characters.
Yeah, I'm not sure what to... I never got into the Warhammer type stuff. Although I did play Warhammer 1 and 2, which are very different than Warhammer 40K. Warhammer 1 and 2 are basically, it's just a top-down perspective of you basically playing a tabletop game. Not very much more than that. It's very simplistic in its design. This is more large scale, where I think you have armies and whatnot. So, I don't know.
A squad.
Yeah, squads. Yeah. Okay, so a little bit different.
It's not large scale. It's very much like you're in
so it is okay
combat room, kind of like Fire Emblem.
Okay.
You'll probably have about the same number of units to control during each
all right
scenario, chapter, what have you.
So I must have been thinking of something completely different then.
It does have character customization. So
okay. That's kind of cool.
Which is very much a Warhammer thing, right? You get to put together your squad, your crew, your party, and fine tune exactly what kind of abilities they're going to use based on the weapons and armor and whatnot that you're equipping them with. So that's just Warhammer in general, and that's the part. Like, if you want to min-max, you go to Warhammer to min-max.
Isn't that you?
I love my min-maxing. Yeah, that is me. Like I said, like, this is right up my alley.
It just didn't get you though.
I didn't say it's not getting me.
All right, well,
it hasn't gotten me yet because I don't know. Warhammer is like such an intimidating franchise.
Yeah. Is it something that you think you're gonna have to like get into, like get to know the lore and everything, or is that what it is? Is that what you're intimidated by?
It is kind of the juggernaut size of the franchise that intimidates me. It is a bit of that because it's such a huge franchise.
All right. Well, that game is scheduled for release May 19th of this year. And then moving on, we have The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3. Also,
we've talked about it.
Yeah, it has a demo. So if you wanted to try and play it, or you want to try it out, hit up the demo, and you can see for yourself that it looks like you're looking through a pair of glasses that aren't really your prescription. So maybe it looks different. I did download this demo. I am gonna play it. I'll put it up on YouTube. And I'll see. Maybe I'm just not seeing. I didn't see it right. Maybe my glasses need to be adjusted. I don't know. We'll see. I'm definitely gonna play it again. It didn't look good on the floor at PAX. Hopefully they can change my mind here with this demo. And I think that's it for RPGs. And I say that's it. That's quite a bit. I think there's actually another game called I kind of went right by it. It's called Shinsekai Into the Depths. It's kind of a Metroidvania, I believe. I don't know if some people consider Metroidvanias RPG-esque, so maybe it's got some of that. But it was a very kind of cool looking game where you're underwater the entire time, so you're struggling for that balance of oxygen, and there is some combat as well in the game, along with platforming and puzzle solving. It's kind of a cool looking game. I liked it.
It's I mean, Metroidvanias are my bread and butter, but it released first on the Apple Arcade.
Okay.
So it's a mobile game that's being ported over, and you kind of see some of those elements shining through. One thing that I did not like is how ugly that UI is. It just takes up so much of the visual screen space.
I don't think it looks ugly. I just think it's way too large, and maybe some of it's unnecessary or could be done differently. But
that's to me, that's the ugliness, is how large it is.
Yeah, I mean, you're coming from the mobile world to this, and there should have been some changes in some of that.
And the fact that they didn't go the extra mile to remove like this big giant HUD elements, which is what you get, and they didn't go through the process of moving and revising those things for a console big screen TV type of experience, like
right.
That screams laziness to me. Now, this is a good game at the very least for mobile, and it probably is going to be a good game at the least for the Switch. But when you kind of don't, when you're, what's the word, cutting corners, not really cutting.
Well, with the
not
UI,
extra effort,
right. I know what you mean, but with the UI, it is large, but it's not transparent, but it's very simple enough where you can kind of see what's going on. You know what I mean? But it still is. It takes up a lot of the screen, almost a quarter of the screen, in one corner, and in the other corner where the mini map is, it's almost the 1/4 or at least 1/3 of it. It's got some UI issues, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But that's the Nintendo Direct news. You got anything else to add there? Nah. All right, cool. So we'll go over some of the upcoming RPGs. We have March 26th has got a lot going on, and March 26th this podcast was written for Wednesday, the 25th. So we have a few kind of games kind of falling in between then and now. So we'll go over them. We have Sin Slayers, the 26th, One Step from Eden, Grand Guild, Arafel Enhanced Edition, and Children of the Zodiacs. 5 games I've mentioned there. A lot of games coming out the 26th. Sin Slayers is kind of an interesting type of game, along with One Step from Eden. One Step from Eden is similar to, is it Mega Man Battle Network or something to that effect?
That one was, so we've looked and talked about this game.
Yep.
And it is interesting. There's some weird stuff going on in that game. So color me intrigued. I played Sin Slayers. I have it on Steam. It's not good.
It's not good.
It's slow and boring.
Boy.
That's kind of the key takeaway. It's very grindy. You have almost no abilities right from the very start. That's the big problem. and there's lots of combat in this game, and combat is trivial. Because you have so few options available to you at the very start of the game, and when you max out and get everything, you're still have a small handful of combat options per character. I think you only have like 2 options.
Huh.
At the very start of the game per character. It's like as simple as like you can attack and you can defend, and I think you have like one other ability that has some
maybe you
resource.
can heal yourself.
Yeah, it's like very basic plain vanilla combat.
Turn-based, right?
Turn-based, and it's not fun at all.
Does it have anything going for it though? It's got to have something.
It has this system that it's not new. I think it's like, I don't know, I forgot what they call it. It was like a sin system or whatever, where you can do stuff like loot chests and whatnot, and take on sin. The more sin you have, the harder things become in the dungeon they're currently delving through.
Okay.
It's very roguelike
Yeah.
in that. So there's enemies, you step on a tile, you run into an enemy, you go into a combat environment, and you kill the enemies in turn-based combat, and then you go back into the dungeon grid-based movement, roguelike style, and continue moving on and so forth. And the more sin you have, the better the rewards, but the harder the enemies. It's kind of simple stuff. Other games have done it before and have done it way better, and have done combat with few abilities better. Like
Gotcha.
Darkest Dungeon, you only have 4 abilities that you can equip on your party members for each member at any given point in time. But they start off with all 4. Whereas in this game, you have like 2, and they're not interesting or fun, and they're not balanced. And there's nothing else in the game that's actually making it more interesting or intriguing than how it's playing out.
All right. Well, you guys can get it on the 26th. Take a look at it if it's something sounds like it's something you're going to be into. One Step from Eden, we've mentioned this in previous episodes, where it's got this very cool Pong I'll call it Pong strategy Pong type of game. It's very interesting, I think, and I've seen a lot of people playing it. It looks wacky as heck. It looks like there's a lot going on. It looks like it's really difficult as well. And I think we did review it on our site. Evan gave it an okay rating. So I don't know. Take a read at the review at switchrpg.com. Tell us if it's something you're into. Again, that was released on the 26th. Another 26th title is Grand Guilds. Kind of mentioned it previously as well as earlier in this episode. So that is Grand Guilds on the 26th. Arafel, we spoke about on the 26th. It's coming out.
Thumbs up on that one.
Thumbs up on Arafel, and I have to agree. I think Ben is kind of leaning that way as well. I think he hasn't written his review in full yet, but I think he's kind of leaning that way. And then we have on the 26th, Children of the Zodiacs. Evan is also reviewing that. I'm not sure where he lies on that. Let me see. Or did he actually already come up with that article? Hang on. I should already know this.
It also looks like another sort of tactics style. This one kind of leans a little bit more towards Fire Emblem-esque tactics, although it does have terrain elevation in it. Oh, those are dice. That's random.
It's got dice in it. Evan gave this a review of great.
Great. Okay.
He says even though he's not a fan of the strategy subgenre, Children of Zodiacs has managed to make me a convert. The only aspect of the game I regret is its length, as I would gladly play more if given the opportunity. If you are a fan of either tabletop mechanics or strategy fundamentals, I strongly feel that this title offers the best of both worlds, as well as a new world for narrative enthusiasts to explore. There is great untapped potential in Children of Zodiacs, and I give it my earnest recommendation. So
also has cards.
It's got a lot going for it. A lot going on.
It's a lot. It's very similar to the other game that we're kind of not so hot on,
The tactics one?
the Grand Guilds.
Yes,
That's
but
also cards, and this one has cards.
yeah, this one has cards and dice. The cards I'm not it wasn't the problem in Grand Guilds. In Grand Guilds the issue was was other stuff. It was more technical even. Yeah, so again, this was kind of on that same deal, kind of small scale tactical strategy RPG. I think it looks interesting.
Yeah. It presents itself very nice. The aesthetic is lighthearted, but it looks very polished.
Yeah. I agree. So, take a look at Children of the Zodiac. She gave it a great scoring. Wow. Then we have on the 31st. I know nothing of this game. This game just popped up, to be honest. Treachery in Beatdown City. It looks like it's a kind of a side scroll. Is it a side scroll and beat 'em up? Yeah, it's kind of a 8-bit side scroll and beat 'em up RPG.
River City Ransom style?
Yeah, not as good looking. I mean, if you consider River City Ransom good looking, this one is not good looking.
Oh, really?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it has just as much to offer. But just in the description alone, treachery is afoot in Beatdown City. The U.S. President Blake Orama, I mean, come on, has been kidnapped by the nefarious Ninja Dragon terrorists. So clearly a play on words on Barack Obama, and it's been kidnapped by the nefarious Ninja Dragon terrorists.
Oh yeah, this is not a good-looking game.
No, like I said, they're asking $20 for this game as well. Maybe they'll get it. I don't know, man.
It's turn-based combat.
Is it turn-based?
Yeah. Oh, it looks like there's a menu. The action pauses. There's a menu, a drop-down menu of selecting different what appears to be attacks or abilities, and then executing on those things. Yeah, defense.
Okay.
Let's see here, brace. There's I guess an FP is your mana.
Maybe.
Yeah. This is like a turn-based
River City Ransom.
Some breakdance attacks over here. It actually kind of does.
I'm sorry, say that again. You broke up. What was that?
It kind of does look cool, like what they're doing, gameplay wise. Because there's like multiple tabs of the combat. It's weird.
I see that. Yeah.
But it's ugly. The game is ugly.
Yeah, the colors are awful.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't really
disagree. That. All right. Well, again, if you're into River City Ransom, imagine that not as good looking as River City Ransom, and maybe turn-based. I don't know.
Treachery. Oh, it's definitely turn-based combat.
Okay, Treachery in Beatdown City is what it's called. Another game I called on this episode is March 31st is Operencia, The Stolen Sun. You're still looking at that game, aren't you? I tried pulling up a trailer, it wouldn't pull up, so I couldn't look at it.
They're punching a bunch of different you beat up the car in Street Fighter.
Yep.
They got segments like that where they're punching like a soda machine, a motorcycle, and a bunch of other like objects.
Oh man. So maybe it's just a ridiculous game. Anyway, Operencia, The Stolen Sun, March 31st. I did mention it before. I think it's a must buy. Let me see what they're asking for. Luckily, Zen Studios provided a review copy for me. $30. I would say it's worth $30. It's a good game, guys.
Must buy, huh?
Yeah, I would say get it. It's really good. It's done well. Really well.
That's the one that has the rows, right? Do those rows of enemies, does that actually have a gameplay?
Yeah, it does. Depending on what weapon you have will depend on the amount of damage you'll do to either the first row, the second row, or the third row. So you could still do damage, they just won't be as effective. So say, for example, I have a bow. My bow is most effective at the furthest row, and least effective is the front in the front row. Opposite with some melee stuff, where melee is really effective close range, but as you go further, it's not as effective. Again, you'll still do damage, it just won't be as effective. Magic seems to be uninhibited by range. As far as what I've played, it doesn't matter which row they're in; it's all pretty effective. So my thinking of this was building a character, because you can create your own character, and building a character leaning more towards magic because it can hit any row and it's effective in any row. So
are there instances where either the enemies or your own character's ability can manipulate the rows that the enemies are currently
I haven't gotten any skills that do that, and I would have to say that there probably should be, where you can manipulate their standings in there. One thing I will say is I didn't notice it. Maybe it's just I didn't notice it, and there it is there. But I never know which of my party members. Right now, I only have 2. I never know which one the enemy is going to target. It's always random. I mean, I guess you see that in a lot of games, but you don't see your characters. It's, like I said, it's first person, so I never know which one they're going for. So your party members don't have a physical stance. It's just more the enemies have that kind of in the battlefield area. But yeah, it's done really well. And like I said, it is grid based. And you said it looked like I had free movement, and you could definitely play as if you have free movement. The way it's just kind of so smooth, where it does look like that, where it looks like it'll have kind of that free reign of the environment when you actually don't.
So it is free looking, but not free moving.
No, you're locked into one grid, one space at a time. So you'll go.
Is it done in grid or hexes?
Grid. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I love it. If you're wanting to see some gameplay, you had mentioned that it's on the channel. It's definitely there. I put 3 episodes up, so take a peek. I think it's worth your time. I'm not gonna go over that last game unless you want to.
It doesn't look like an RPG. It looks more like an adventure.
It's an adventure simulation RPG strategy is what it's labeled as. So I don't know what that means. It means they try to enter every single category possible.
Yeah. I'm looking at gameplay right now. I mean, there is in a city town.
Yeah.
And you are talking to many NPCs.
All right, well, let's go. Let's just do it then. It's I don't even know how to say it. Mazm, 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 Jekyll and Hyde. It's got a weird, it's got a cool aesthetic to it. Kind of that drawn kind of caricature.
What's that game?
I know what you're thinking of. I can't think of the game though.
Starve Together?
Don't Starve?
Don't Starve.
Don't Starve.
Yes.
There you go. It has that look in the environment, but not when it's looking at dialogue, when they're actually talking. Kind of I don't know what to call that, but when they're talking, kind of like that cutscene type of deal, they don't have that look. Like their look totally changes.
Yeah.
They don't have that big head caricature drawn
the Western chibi.
Western chibi, yes. They don't have that look. Again, I don't know how this plays at all. Do you saw some gameplay of it? It's more like kind of wandering.
I'm watching video of it, and it looks like a detective adventure game. I don't see anything else going on. There's a lot of walking around back and forth, talking to different characters.
Okay.
Point and click adventure.
All right. Well, again, not too sure how that one's going to play out, but it's labeled as an RPG. I wasn't going to mention it, but we kind of just went into it. We did have a main topic. I think we're going to hold off on that main topic because we're running really really kind of long here. But what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to say what the topic is going to be, and I want to get some people's opinions out there. What do you think?
Sounds good.
You good with that? We have quite a list of games here, but the main topic is going to be game mechanics that were really kind of amazing, but you've only seen in maybe a single game or maybe even a series. We do have quite a few games in here. We do want to go over them as well, but we want to get your opinions out there as well. But that's going to actually wrap it up for today's episode. And thank you so much for listening. Thank you for everyone who didn't send in their questions. I don't know why. It's just in the script. I'm like Ron Burgundy. I just read whatever's on the teleprompter. Just put it there. I'm reading it. Remember, you can listen to the show each and every week at switchrpg.com, or you can subscribe on your favorite podcast app. If you listen on an app, give me a rating and give Jonny a rating. He needs those ratings. We want to climb up those charts on those platforms, so your support there would be amazing. And finally, you remember, you can head over to switchrpg.com for all your RPG needs on the Nintendo Switch. Until next time, I'll see you around. And don't forget that Jonny is the best person. Wait a minute. Goodbye.